When jealous people crash out, when they go into a bitter, miserable rant and rage over the things that you're doing, that's when their jealousy and envy gets to a dangerous level. You see, these people, they're mad because you figured out what they couldn't and you're winning. And now they're crashing out. There are some people who hold bitterness and resentment towards successful people. There are some people who hold bitterness and resentment toward those of us who dare to do what we want to do. They hold bitterness and resentment toward people who are stepping outside the box and not programmed to do what everybody else is doing. You see, when you're a person that doesn't settle into mediocrity, when you're a person that decides to be above average, you want to step out and find out, you want to try something new, you want to step out in faith, you want to test your skills and abilities and you're being successful at it, there will be some people who tend to crash out and get very upset with you and want to take out all of their negativity, all of their jealousy, all of their pent up rage and hostility on you simply because they didn't have the secret, simply because they didn't know how to step outside the box. See, some people, they become experts at being average and trying to relate to other people, so much so that they hold themselves back. So when they see other people stepping outside the box and doing things that they want to do, but they're not able to do it, they start getting bitter and they start ranting and raging. There's a young lady over on TikTok. She made a whole video dedicated to how bad influencers and content creators are. She pretty much went on this rant. It had to be about 10-minute rant talking about how influencers are nobody. You can't influence anybody out of a paper bag. You're not this, you're not that. She used all kind of expletives. She was cursing and ranting, like haters do. They start getting in an uproar over things that don't even bother them simply because they wish they could be like that person. Simply because they see influencers and content creators and they see people being successful at seemingly nothing in their opinion, and they're all upset about it. See, what haters and jealous people don't understand, and this young woman, if you haven't seen her rant on TikTok, I suggest you go look it up. She is ranting and she expressed exactly what it looks like. She is the, ideal. She is the description of what a hater is. Haters and jealous people, they get highly frustrated about things that have absolutely nothing to do with them. When their life is going bad, when they're not succeeding at the thing that they see other people doing, they start hating on it and they build a case as into why these people are no good. They're basic. You shouldn't look at them. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. Haters are good at keeping receipts. Haters are good at building whole case studies, all because they're jealous of the fact that you're doing something that they can't do. It's very clear that this young woman wants to be an influential person. She wants to be an influencer. She has a TikTok account. She's out there trying to be a content creator and an influencer, but she's not seeing success. So just like in true hater fashion, what does she do? What does she do? She turns on the very people who she's trying to be like. Now, some of the things that she was saying pertaining to influencers, some of it rings true. Even haters, sometimes some of the things they say out of their bitterness and hostility, some things can just be common sense. Like she started talking about consumerism and all these different things, materialism. Okay, but what she doesn't understand, and this is what most haters don't understand, is that just because somebody's doing something that you don't understand, that doesn't mean that it's worth nothing. But to people who get bitter and jealous and envious and have built up hostility and resentment toward people who are successful, they tend to hate on things they don't understand. Being an influencer, I don't know anything about being an influencer because I do not consider myself an influencer. I am a content creator. I am a life coach. I am a woman who knows some stuff, and I try to inspire and motivate other women. I try to encourage you and help you to recognize the signs of jealousy, envy, and other womanhood things. So I guess that would be in the realm of influencing and content creator, even though I don't consider myself an influencer. But I digress. I say that to say people like myself and others who are actually doing this kind of job, because that is what it is, to people on the outside looking in, they start getting jealous and hating on people like myself because it's outside the box. And this is not about me. I'm using this as an example. Some people, especially those who get jealous, bitter, and miserable and envious of people who do something different. Because being a content creator, being an influencer, being a creative, that is different than your average 9-to-5 job. I am not knocking the 9-to-5 job. I still have a part-time job. A lot of people do. But see, people who, like that young lady, she's a hater and she sees other people being successful at the thing that she wants to do. And because she's not there yet, she's dumping on it. The message is that haters tend to scream the loudest when they see people winning in front of them and they try to stop it. This young woman ranted and screamed about how influencers are no good. They all look the same. She even resorted to name calling. You know, when people are jealous and envious of you, they'll call you all kinds of names. They will call you everything except for a child of God. You know, she was referring to the influencers, the women, as bees. Y'all all look the same. You know, y'all all doing the same. Nobody gives a F about your day, what you're eating, doing this and that. For her to say all those things, it surely sounds like she paid quite enough attention to these influencers who she says is not being influential. And I am not really defending the influencers. I'm defending the principle. You can't hate on somebody simply because they're being successful at something that you're not. And it's clear that she wants to be a part of that game. She wants to be a part of the social circle. She wants to be in that network. And this leads me to the main point. When people are jealous and envious of what you're doing, if they can't join you, they start trying to go against you. They start trying to convince people that what you're doing and who you are is absolutely no good. And it's simply because they can't do it. You know, these people, they typically settle into being mediocre and they dump on other people. They come against other people. They hate on other people that don't want to settle for being mediocre. Everybody's lot in life is not just to go to work and have somebody constantly telling them what to do. Some people actually want to control their own work day. I can't say control their destiny, but I will say control your work day. Some people want to have more freedom in their life. But to haters, to jealous people, to people who have settled into being mediocre, into being basic, as she called these young women basic, it is clear that they want to be on that winning team. You know, when haters want to be on your team, and this is not just about money, this is not just about influence, this is not just about, you know, content creation or being on social media. This refers to life in general. When people see you winning, when they see you successful, whether it be in finance, whether it be with your confidence, whether it be with the people who you have around you, whether it be with your lifestyle, some people, if they can't be a part of your inner circle, they will begin to put down your inner circle. The very things they admire about you, the very things that they want to have, because they don't have it, they will begin to make it seem like it's bad, even though it's not. Now, back to the influencing part, are there certain parts of influencing that is bad? Absolutely. That goes with any kind of job, any kind of creative skill. There are a lot of things that are, you know, not the best. But people who are focusing on their own journey, people who are truly happy and fulfilled and striving to their own goals, don't have time to run down a list of why you're no good, you think you're this, but you're not. People who are fulfilled and not haters don't do those kind of things. And this young woman made that whole video ranting about how influencers are so bad, how they're basic bees, how they're all doing matcha Pilates and all this other stuff like that, when they really don't like that. They're just basic, they're fake, nobody cares about what you're doing in your day. It's hater speech. Like when I heard her started talking, I'm like, okay, she's a hater. She's jealous of the fact that she's not a part of that world. She wants to get out of the 9-to-5 grind. And because she hasn't figured out the algorithm, she hasn't really built the following, she really hasn't been influential, thus nobody's really following her like that. She's hating on the person who's succeeding at it. That's what jealous people do. She is the very definition of a hater. Now, her point could have been valid had she used that to promote individuality, because toward the end of her rant, she started making a little bit of sense. She started talking about how we still need women to be doctors and look up to lawyers and to look up to these people. And she's absolutely right. There's nothing wrong with being a professional, with having the typical, 9-to-5 job or having a regular career. Nothing wrong with it. And she could have used that video as an opportunity to promote individuality, to promote not just, trying to copy somebody else, but really making sure it's something you want to do. But did she do that? No. She did what most haters do. They just dumped on the people they want to be like. This young lady wants to be an influencer. Bad. You can hear it all in her voice. My first thought was, why is she so angry? The rage and the anger and the crash out that comes from jealous, envious people when they're not able to be a part of what you're doing, it's astounding. It's like, no matter how much she wants to say, I'm not a hater. And she actually slipped up in the beginning of that rant. She said, and I'm not just being a hater. She said, I'm not just being a hater. Haters, they will tell on themselves. She pretty much let everybody know that she's a hater. She's jealous of the fact that she sees people on TikTok, on these different platforms, promoting different products and doing different things and build this strong following. And she's not doing that, even though she wants to. Haters scream the loudest and dump on people who they want to be like. That is a case study. That sums up everything that I talk about on this channel. Now, some people might look at influencing like it's no big deal. It's just for play. You have some people supporting their entire families off of influencing and content creation. And contrary to what people believe, it is an actual job that takes creativity. Yes, some people do the copy and paste method where they're just trying to copy and paste somebody else's life. But when you're talking about promoting brands, when you're talking about getting brand deals, when you're talking about selling items, that is business. That is entrepreneurship. And that takes you having a level of personality and entrepreneurial skills to make you successful. And I'm not saying all that stuff to kind of brag or boast on people who are doing it or on myself. But clearly, you have to have something, some kind of talent on the inside of you to be able to do those kind of things. At the least, you have to have confidence and not be a hater. And the reason why this woman probably is not so successful as she would like to be is because she's a hater. You will never be successful in life if you hate on other people who are doing the things that you want to do. Even if some of what she said was true, we have to normalize writing in journals. We have to normalize, talking to a trusted friend and not getting online showing people that you're a hater, because that did nothing. Yes, it gave her attention, but from other people who probably are also jealous of those people who are doing things outside the box. So I say all this to say that these people are mad because you figured out something they can't, and now they're crashing out. When people can't be around you, when they can't be in your inner circle, when they can't be like you, when they don't have the kind of opportunities you have, they just start putting it down. At one point, they might have wanted to been a doctor because you're a doctor. But because they failed the MCATs, they're not able to actually, pass the test. Now it's like, being a doctor is not that great. Whatever. It's being a doctor. That's what haters do. They start discrediting other people simply because they couldn't figure it out. And they want you to feel bad because they're not able to get into the circle. This young woman, and I hate to keep referring to her, but I have to call it how it is. Her jealousy and her envy was on display for the entire world to see, for the whole internet to see. And if you major in pointing out why somebody else is not great, even though they're being successful, whether you agree or not, that is going to do nothing but hold you back. And haters don't understand that. If they can't get into the circle with the so-called popular people, and that's another thing. And I know to some people this might seem shallow or superficial, but we're talking about real world things. If you have an ounce of popularity, an ounce of influence, an ounce of being able to make an impact in somebody's life, you're going to attract haters. And I mentioned in a previous video I just posted about, If you're a woman who is not afraid to be seen, that you're going to have people jealous and envious of you. You're going to have people that, want to come along and just put down everything you do simply because they can't do it. And this was a perfect display of that. This woman, she laid down everything these women are doing. So clearly they're influencing her enough to have the crash out that she had. They crash out because they can't join you. Now, if her follower count was up, if she was being influential, if she had a TikTok shop and everybody was buying from her, she would be so quiet. But the fact that she's not able to figure it out yet, I say yet because there's still time, based on this negative rant, because some people like negativity, she might build a following off of this. It'll probably be for the wrong reasons, but nonetheless, she'll build a following. Haters tend to attract other haters. Haters tend to attract people who are just like them. And if you're not like them, and this is back to the original point, they're not going to like you. See, jealous, envious people, they build up a lot of resentment toward people who step outside the box. What do I mean by step outside the box? You don't allow society to box you into what you should be doing. You do what you want to do, especially when it comes to your lifestyle, to your business, and how you make your money. Now, I am not talking about illegal things here. I am talking about these things that are going to make your life easier. Every woman, and I don't care how this sounds, every woman doesn't want to go to work every single day and have people tell them what to do. Every woman is not desiring to work 15, 16, 17-hour shifts. Some women want to tap into their creativity, use their femininity, use their confidence in the skills they have to create a more softer, easygoing life. Life is not easy. You're going to have stresses, but you can have an easier life. And this brings me to the next point. This young woman is a hater and jealous of women who are seemingly living a softer life. Masculine, overbearing women who have not yet figured out how to make their life a little bit more easygoing get jealous of women who have. Some of these women, be it fake or real, you see them online, they're sipping their lattes, sipping their teas, sipping their coffees, they're sitting there making their videos in the middle of the day, they're out shopping, doing different things, and they're putting it online for people to see. There will always be a hater or a jealous person sitting back saying, she thinks she's somebody, she should be at work. This is not a real job. I'm sure there are some people who say that about me. I'm sure a lot of influencers, content creators, and not just influencers and content creators, you might be a stay-at-home mom who has a side business. You might have a work-from-home business. You might bake goods to mail off to people. You might make handmade jewelry. You might knit blankets. Who knows? You're making money in a different way that doesn't line up with what everybody else sees. And because of it, they hate on it. They'll see you out at the stores. They'll see you out living your life, seemingly just minding your business, spending money, but they don't understand where it's coming from. It looks like you're doing nothing. And instead of people just minding their business or trying to figure out the secret, trying to get close to you and actually want to know and learn, they just start hating, all because they can't do it. If you are a woman who desires to have a life that's not completely stressful, that is not always surrounded with a lot of drama, you don't want to constantly answer to other people, you're going to have haters. If you want to be your own boss, if you want to be your own management, if you want to just use your gifts and skills and talent and live a seemingly peaceful life away from people who can just constantly be micromanaging you, accept the fact that you're going to have some people that are going to be jealous of you. And even if you're a woman who is still out in the grind, you're still working a 9-to-5, and you are trying to get out of that, don't be surprised at how many people who are going to try to talk you into staying in that same environment simply because they can. And this isn't just about money or about jobs. It's in life in general. This woman showed herself to be a hater, and she started crashing out because she's still in the trenches. And when people are still in the trenches, they're still being basic, they're still being mediocre. They want you to be the same way. And if you're not like that, they will dump over everything you do. This right here was a teachable moment. She is like the epitome of what someone who builds a case study, who keeps receipts, who likes to look for all kind of justifications as to why somebody else's life is bad and they're seemingly the only voice of reason, all because they're not in the inner circle. These people are mad because you figured out what they couldn't and now they're crashing out. You did not accept being mediocre and you are not afraid to be seen. You're confident enough to step outside the box and do what other people are not doing, and they're jealous of that. When you're a woman who is not afraid to step outside the box and do what other people won't do, you're going to have haters. And I don't care how silly, how stupid people say influencing is. In this economy we live in, and I have to go there for a moment, you cannot be mad at people for looking to outside sources such as influencing, content creation, or what have you to make their money. It's like, why would you want to step on that? Oh, because you haven't figured out how to do it. A hater. That's exactly what jealous people do. So if you are a woman who's going to live outside the box, expect some people to start gathering up receipts, start gathering up case studies. This woman, I'm surprised she didn't present a 5-page report as into why influencers are such horrible people. Jealousy, the screams of envy, it's amazing. And when you step outside the box, expect that people are going to be jealous. Simple as that. Like and subscribe to the channel and share this content. Hit the notification bell so that you're aware when I post a brand new video. If you watch this video until the very end, put the high heel emoji in the comment section. I absolutely love to see it. Take care.